Okay.
Okay. So you are usually the one that's asking me questions, but I think today I'm going to be asking you some questions
Okay.
to see what you have to say. So my first question, I'm going to ask you, who were you in your high school years? Like who was Andrew?
That's good. I think there's two sides to that. I think there's many levels and layers to that. On one layer, Andrew was the outgoing, funny, moonwalking, pep rally hosting, theater staging, great personality, charming to the teachers guy. That's one level. On the next level, I think there was a guy who just didn't apply himself academically because I don't know, I just didn't find my thing or see a purpose to it. And then there's another layer of a guy that was trying to become the best version of themselves. A guy that knew his shortcomings and his weaknesses and was trying to figure out how to be.
So I'm going to be asking you, let me just say, I'm going to be asking you questions mostly maybe about high school, just because I'm going into high school in September. So I just want to know a little bit about that, and for others as well.
Yeah.
So my second question would be, when you were going into grade 9, how did you feel? Were you like nervous? Were you?
Yeah, because there was all this talk about initiation, but you probably don't have any talk about that, right? So that's a good thing. That was my only fear, was that when we got into high school, I think mostly it was a guy thing, that they were going to initiate you, meaning, like do something cruel to you to like welcome you in. And I was afraid of that. I didn't know what that was going to be, like get beat up or, I don't know what it was. So I was afraid of that. And I was a sheltered kid living in the suburbs, and I never took the bus, public transportation, probably once with my mom when I was a kid, but I never took the bus because we had cars, we'd have to take the bus. So I had this apprehension about going on the bus. So, or the Mississauga Transit. And so I guess it was just the fears of like these unknown things. But when I got there, I was like, oh, that's easy.
That's good. So my next question is, when you, during your high school years, was it like on TV, like you see on TV, or was it like nothing like that?
What do you mean?
Like, when you watch some shows and you see like the high school experience, is it like that or no?
Yeah, in some aspects, and maybe, they say art imitates life, right? And then sometimes it's life imitates art. It's a cycle. So, the cool kids, absolutely. There were the cool kids, there were the nerds, there were the goth kids, or like the dark emo kids, there were those kids. And for me, I was like, I'm such a people person that I found myself gravitating to all the groups. Like there was definitely a clear, okay, this is where the black kids sit in the cafeteria. And, of course I sit with the black kids, but then I was in drama. So I would go hang out with the emo kids and the, goth kids. And then, I would hang out with the quote unquote nerds because I think I was very conscious of the groups, and I didn't want to, especially the way I was raised, right? Like, I'm black, obviously, but I was raised to almost in a way try to live above my race and the stereotypes of what is expected of me. And so I think I was really conscious of that and wanting to like break that and not fit into and just be the black kid, right? So yeah, and I wasn't into sports, but I had friends that was sporty. So, but it's like that. It's like that. They got mean kids, and you know there was a group. They used to be called the Central Boys because there was a billiards, a pool house that was called Central Billiards in Streetsville where our school was, and all these guys used to wear jackets, kind of like this actually, exactly, bomber jackets that were embroidered with the like. I think they had the Portuguese flag on the back or the Italian flag, and then like Central Boys, right? And so,
funny.
yeah,
You would think that that's only on TV, but like,
no, yeah,
that's funny.
It was like the Greasers, right? Like from
the Outsiders,
from Greece, or Outsiders, right? And it was like they were intimidating, but I think I learned like you're no different than me. I remember one day I was running down the hall and I fell. And it was packed, and I fell, like I slipped. It was a rainy day. I came in the hallway and I slipped and I fell, and everybody started laughing, right? And so I got up and I remember bowing, just bowing for everybody, and like, and then it wasn't embarrassing anymore, right? And so I sometimes these cool kids want to like intimidate you, and like and the bullies, they try to intimidate you, but they're all soft, sensitive people who want to be loved. And so when I learned that, I used humor as my thing to like, diffuse any
shame or embarrassment
or any intimidation or anything like that. So they just left me alone because they're like, oh, that guy, he's a joker, right? So they liked me, right? Because I wasn't scared. Yeah.
Okay. I think my next question, I have a lot of questions actually, but I think my next question will be, when you were in grade 12, were you nervous to graduate? Did you know what you wanted to do with your life when you were in grade 12? Did you know where you wanted to go after high school?
Yeah, so note, we had 13. We had grade 13.
Oh.
Yeah.
You had grade 13.
Yeah. So you could graduate in grade 12 and go to school if you wanted, if you had all of your credits. But there was a 13th year. Yeah, they got rid of it maybe a couple years after, which I'm not sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing, especially when the education system is not really properly equipping kids.
Yeah, and COVID happened, so.
Yeah, so anyways. But I did know, because at that time I had gone to New York. I had gone to the acting competition in California, and the school wanted me to come to school in New York in September.
Oh. Yeah.
So I knew I was going to that school.
Wow.
And so I was like, it was goofing off, whatever have you, because I just knew, right? But I will say this, and I was in grade 13, but in grade 12, when I was going to graduate, right? Because you graduate in grade 12. You still graduate in grade 12, and then you come back for grade 13.
Oh, like an extra.
Exactly. It's an extra year to get your, whatever credits you need, because I think they felt like, okay, maybe kids don't know what they want to do. And by grade 12, now you're like, okay, I'm going to go into science, or I'm going to go into whatever. So then grade 13 was the year that you're like, okay, I need to top up on these sciences or redo these classes so that I can get into university. Which is I think it's a great year. And I think they call it a victory lap. So it still exists, right? But they just don't call it grade 13. But in grade 12, when I was going to graduate, I was one class that I was failing in. And it was history. And I remember the teacher, I probably had like a 20% in the class. I don't know. And the teacher pulled me aside and said, listen, you will fail this class, but you could get a 50 if you kill this exam. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, I had to get almost perfect on the exam in order to get a 50 in the class. For them to bump me up.
Huh.
So I locked in and I took that textbook and I rammed it into my head.
See, kids, this is why you don't slack on your work, because then you'll be at a 20 and you need to.
I know, right? But it just goes to show you that if I apply it,
Yeah.
right? So I locked in, I killed that exam. Teachers, I don't know how you did it, but you passed, and then I graduated. So to answer your real original question, I knew where I was going.
Mm-hmm. So you weren't.
And I wasn't afraid, and I think that's very important. And I think that's where you're at. Because I asked a lot of kids your age, are you ready for high school? And they're all terrified.
Yeah.
I ask kids who are graduating and are ready for university, terrified. Because they don't know where they're going. And so I think it's a fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
But if you know, or you have an idea, you don't have to know with certainty, but you have to have a good, strong idea, you're not going to be afraid.
Yeah.
You're not going to be afraid after high school because
Mm-hmm.
I think you know where you're gonna go. So
Yeah. Like for going into grade 9, the only reason why I may feel just a little bit nervous is just for the people and making it into my class on time and those like surface level things.
Yeah.
Because like
especially if your locker. But here's the thing: within that first week, you'll know, right? So say your locker is in this remote part of the school, and you got 3 classes back to back up here.
Yeah.
You're gonna know. I can't be going to my locker in between.
You just have to take everything.
I gotta take everything I need for first, second, and third. Hit up 1, 2, 3. Then I can go to my locker, right? And those are the things. But some kids they just want to go to their locker, so they're always coming in late. Oh, I have to go to my locker, miss. My locker's all the way on the other side of school. Yeah, but you gotta know your life, right? Anyways.
I forgot what I was gonna say. One of my questions was good.
Sorry, it's my rambling.
It was close to what you. Oh, right. So when you were in terms of like the school academics, I know you said you didn't really apply yourself, but was the work difficult in grade 9 versus like grade 8? Was it a big jump or like?
No. Here's the thing. I realize now, right? And I want you to get this because it will diminish anxiety when it comes to tests and just pay attention. No, see, it sounds like crazy. It sounds very basic and simple, but it doesn't matter. It's like if you were coming to watch Lord of the Rings, or what's the other one there? Harry Potter, like the 5th episode, and you never watched 1, 2, 3, 4. You might be confused, and you can do one of 2 things: focus on your level of confusion, and be like, "But I don't get this. I don't understand this. What?" Because you're gonna have justifiable reason to say, "I didn't see 1, 2, and 3, and 4." Or you could shut your lips and focus on what
the information you have now.
The information that's coming to you now.
Yeah.
And then you just deal with that because you're only going to be tested on the information that's given to you. Okay? Now, if you don't understand the concepts, right? Then that's fine. Now, I always say this, right? History, math, science, geography, those things, that's all factual.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can get that information. You don't understand a concept of a theory or whatever have you. You ask questions and you get the information factual. English, world, societies challenging to change, all those things, those are all subjective.
Yeah. So you just say your opinion.
Say your opinion with conviction.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's there is no truth, there is no right or wrong. You can stand against something that the teacher's saying.
Whether it's positive or negative.
But if you say it with conviction, then you're gonna get through it. So there's really no way to lose because all the information is there, right? It's just a matter of paying attention, grasping it. And as you said, did you say this? No, you know what? Amaya said this yesterday at her school presentation. Amaya said that one of the bravest things that you could do is ask for help.
That was my next question.
Yeah, I was like, what? Where did you get that? Yeah, ask
Yes.
for help,
Yeah.
right? So you're gonna say, what's your next
So I was
question?
gonna say, a lot of people I know from my past like 3 years of school, they're just afraid to raise their hand, afraid to answer, afraid to ask. So like, what do you have to say to them?
Fear will cripple you. Period. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Let me expand.
Mm-hmm.
If you're afraid to go outside, if you're afraid to explore physically, if you're afraid to explore emotionally, if you're afraid to explore intellectually, afraid to explore your potential because of the fear that you might be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or you might be laughed at, or you might whatever, that is going to keep you from growth.
Yeah.
It's going to keep you from experiencing the possibility
Mm-hmm.
of your own potential, experiences, all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't raise your hand and ask a question, nobody's going to know that you need help.
Yeah.
And you said this in our last talk.
Mm-hmm.
You said contemplate out loud,
Uh-huh.
which is such a beautiful, I don't know if you see my face, but I watched the video back and I saw my face when you said it. I was like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Contemplate out loud. Hey, miss, I'm just saying, I had this thought. Da-da-da-da-da, but if da-da-da-da-da, and when you taught us this, it was this, but da-da-da. Let me tell you something.
Sometimes if you just say it, and then you'll realize what needs to be changed.
Thank you. Thank you. And the thing is that nobody wants to do that work out loud. Nobody wants to be seen as the goody two shoes or the nerd or the, oh, Akila's always asking questions. Nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants to be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah.
If you could have confidence to be like, I don't care what you think. And that's a problem, is that in these years, you care about what people think the most. People probably continue to carry that feeling all throughout their life. But in those teenage years, when you're trying to grow into who you are, you care about what people think the most.
Yeah.
I want you, and my job, our job as parents, is to make you be so confident, just confident enough in yourself that you don't care what people think, right? That's why, I always try to help you not put an emphasis on the clothes you wear or the way you have your hair or the whatever, right? So that everything is not dependent upon something external. Everything is internal. And if you are confident on the inside, then you will have no fear.
Yeah.
So you'll raise your hand.
And they say, oh, be confident, be you. And that is hard. It's hard to just start being confident. So take it in small steps. Just do small things and smaller things and small things, and you'll get to where you want to be in your confidence levels or in your personality. Like, you'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
So it may take long, it may take short, but you just have to stay consistent.
Yeah.
And my last question for you is, what are some habits that you have to stay productive?
You know what I noticed, I learned, or realized about myself, and I think a lot of people deal with this, is that
To stay productive and to not procrastinate.
yes, good. I was going right there. For procrastination, to me, is putting a disproportionate amount of emphasis on the things. And so I got 5 things to do. I got math, this, that. I got to do my laundry, this, that. The feeling of that.
The feeling of just the things.
The amount of things in your mind it cripples you, because then you start thinking, oh, I'm not going to have enough time to do this. I want to do this later. And then, oh my gosh, if I do this, and then...
maybe I'll just do it next week. Then you start to get there.
So what I do is I just start. I'm doing this new thing now, right? Where I'm trying to do push-ups and sit-ups every single day. Started in December. I like to believe Sundays I'll give myself a break, but I think I'm trying to be consistent. I didn't want to do this today. You know what I did? I threw myself on the ground. Now I'm here. Now I'm on the ground. I gotta push up. And then I start. right? And then I'm like, okay, I'm in it, right? So sometimes you just gotta throw yourself into the work,
Yeah.
right? Don't think about all of the things. You say, you know what? I'm going to think about all the things after I do this first thing, right? So you're like, okay, I gotta do this, and this. Okay, let me just do this.
Yeah.
And you start doing it. Then you're done. Oh, okay, cool. Now let me do the next thing, right? A lot of times, the things that you have on the list they don't take as much time as you think.
As you think. Yep.
You've created this whole reality in your mind of how much time.
I need 3-4 hours to do all this. Like, don't worry, that's me sometimes.
Right? So now you got 5 things and you're saying, this is going to take me 2 hours each. That's 10 hours. The whole day's done. I'm not going to do nothing. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
Why don't you buckle down and just start that first thing?
Mm-hmm.
So, please, I pray that you take this advice when you start school, when we go to high school, you're going to, like I told you, you're going to have all these subjects. You're going to have all these assignments due, and it will overwhelm you. Before you create a big celebration around the overwhelming, which is what we do as a society, right? We've now celebrated overwhelm, and now we legitimized anxiety, and we hold on to it and we say, well, I'm dealing with anxiety. Here, I got a better solution. Not belittling that. I'm just saying, attack the first thing. Yeah. Attack the first thing. That means you run crazily towards it, and you start full speed. You don't give yourself time to think about it.
Yeah.
The second you give yourself time to think about it, it's crazy. It's over.
Next thing you know, you just run into it, then you're doing it. So there's nothing to worry about.
I'm in the middle of it now, and now I got to finish it. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's write it down. Okay, to-do list. I'm the king of to-do lists. I have had to-do lists since I was a little child, a kid that shouldn't have to do this. Here's another thing. I used to have a pen protector when I went to school. Yeah, high school. In my pocket, pen protector, blue pen, red pen, black pen, pencil, mechanical pencil. That was me. And I made it my thing. And I was like, I don't care. I'm ready. I remember I used to, after high school, when I was doing music, I used to walk with a briefcase. Because in my briefcase, I had like CDs that I was selling, change, business cards. Because I was just cracked that open, I was doing business. And I didn't care what people thought. People look at me like I want this briefcase. Yeah, I got money in here and I'm running a business. And that was my mentality as a teenager, right? So I didn't care because I knew where I was going. So it's important for you to know where you're going, know what you want to achieve. And so, like, procrastination and getting things done, just quickly jot it down on a list. Don't make that list into another thing, right? Which we can do. Now, I got to make a list of the things I got to do. Quickly. Attack.
Yeah.
And
then
knock
when you
it
check
off.
that off, you feel that sense of accomplishment, and you're ready to do the next task.
Thank you. That's the dopamine that I want. I want a dopamine hit from accomplishing tasks, not from scrolling on Instagram or waiting for somebody to text me. Yeah. I need the dopamine hit by accomplishing things off my checklist. So I don't think I think you do a really good job of organizing, and you're very studious, so you do well with your work. But for you, it's I need you to just diminish the size of all the things that you think.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes I inflate the things that I need to do when I really just need to put 5 things in the bag and leave. So.
Case in point, today, and that bag in the back, right?
Yeah.
I said to you, hey, can you get all your stuff ready? We got to leave by this time. And it's a huffing and a puffing. And now the huffing and puffing has become a thing, and sometimes you have to justify the huffing and the puffing, but really it's not. It's like, you know what? Yeah, okay, cool. And then when I asked you to get the stuff, you put it in your bag, and I said, is that it?
He was watching me too, so I was like trying to make it long.
Less than 30 seconds. I was like, come on, this is not what you're carrying on about, right? But that's a beautiful example, not just you, of all people. When we have something to do, it's a big thing. And that's why a lot of people don't accomplish a lot of things in life. It's because they are overwhelmed. Now imagine if those just housework and chores, and it becomes a big thing, and now it's crippling you. Imagine life goals business goals, starting your own business, or whatever. That is a giant mountain. And so my life, I'm trying to use as an example to show people these are all those small hurdles, and you can accomplish them, and you can step over them.
You're very like, just quick to the point, just do it, what you have to do, and just, you don't ever like make things bigger than they are.
Yeah. I heard a podcast yesterday, and obviously about this because I spoke about it, but we're talking about Amaya's doll, right? And we're like, how do we get this into Toys R Us? And the podcast was like, pick up the phone and call Toys R Us. And you're like, what? Call Toys R Us? How could I?
Me?
So what did I do? I went on LinkedIn, I found some key people, and I messaged Toys R Us. I messaged Walmart, right? And then I got a response from one of the executives that's like, this is awesome. I want to get on top of this when I get back from my vacation. Now you're on vacation and you messaged me back. Mm-hmm. Why? Because you saw the value in what it was there, right? And so I'm saying that to say, I could have overthought the whole process and thought, oh no, that's impossible, don't do that, right? And I'm talking about a big thing.
Yeah.
But if you can learn in the small things, in the same way that you're talking about building your confidence, if you can learn in the small things how to really quickly beeline it to a solution or completion, then you can apply that to the big things in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good.
It's good?
I like asking you questions because I love to hear what you have to say.
And I like that you love to hear what I have to say.